I'm the Director of Instructional Technology for Saline Schools. Tonight we're going to have a presentation over cyber safety, cyber security, and cyber ethics. You're going to learn a lot of great information. We're glad that you came, and it's just an important topic that we need to address as a community, not just as a school, not as just a family, but the community in general. Tonight's presentation, we've got a big agenda going on. We're going to share with you the goals in just a minute. We have an introduction. We have a large panel that we've brought forward. There are a variety of local experts that you can ask some questions to and get some great information from. We are going to share with you our district direction so you understand why technology is so important to us in an educational setting. We are going to take a look and a listen to a couple of our principals. We have a high school and middle school principal tonight, so you can hear from their perspective what is happening with technology usage and what they see the students, what they're up to on a daily basis. Then we have an actual presentation we want to take you through. You'll learn a lot of very interesting information about cyber safety, security, and ethics. Might give you a few ideas or pause of discussions you might go back home and have. And then we thought we would open it up and have a question and answer session so you can, dig deeper into some areas of concern, of interest, or be pointed in the directions of some resources for you today. So the goals of the presentation, we invited you here today just to build a better understanding and an awareness of what cyber safety, security, and ethics are all about. As we move forward in this whole adventure and journey with you, we just want to make sure we're all on the same page with the same message to the students. They are very important to us. We value technology, so we want to make sure we share that message together. We have brought you together so you can have a forum, answer questions, give questions to our panelists, and get some very interesting and great answers. And then we have some resources that we've put in a package for you tonight. We have a large panelist team here today. We have some school district employees. Some are out in the audience, so I did want to bring attention to Mr. Steve Lodge. He is our Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services. We have Mr. Kurt Ellis. He is our Executive Director of HR. On the panel is Ben Williams, our principal of the high school, Mr. David Raft, our principal of the middle school, and also here from the middle school tonight is Mr. Matt Stimick, one of the counselors. And I think that's it for our internal team. We have our experts, and we have one in residence as Mrs. Tiffany Smalls. She is the resource officer that is up at the high school. We have two experts from the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. We have Julie and Robin. They come in and do presentations. They are internet facilitators, and they come in and speak with our students and take them through scenarios to get a better understanding about internet safety. We also have Mr. Lupi. He is the detective for the Saline Police Department. And tonight we have a guest with us, Mrs. Kristen Judge. She used to be a county commissioner, and now I have to look over at the slide because she has a big job and a big title. Director of Partner Engagement for the Center for Internet Security. And she's going to share just a message from us at the national level. Kristen?
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for coming tonight. What I wanted to share with you, first of all, is how fortunate we are here in Saline to be one of the first schools in the country to take on the Stop, Think, Connect message. The Stop, Think, Connect message was formed from the Department of Homeland Security. It's the new Smokey the Bear or Click It or Ticket message that we're trying to spread throughout the country. And Washtenaw County is a leader and a model as I deal with folks from the federal level, the FBI, Secret Service even, Department of Homeland Security. They're always talking about Washtenaw County and what a phenomenal leader we've been here. The National Cybersecurity Alliance is one of our partners, and they have just signed a memorandum of understanding to create and implement a K-12 curriculum nationwide. And since they're one of our closest partners, we're going to make sure that some of that pilot program, or at least some of the voices from Washtenaw County, are involved, and that would be Saline School District, because we certainly are a leader, and we're very fortunate to have folks in our administration and our staff that understand technology is important. It's a part of what our kids do. We can't just take it away from them and tell them they can't have access to the internet. I know it seems scary, and that's something we want to do sometimes, but it is a part of their world, it's a part of the way they live, it's a part of how we do business now, and we have to embrace it and just keep them safe. There was an alert, that part of my job now, unfortunately, is I know too much. A little more scared. I get alerts every day, some classified, some unclassified, and one of the unclassified alerts that came through is that November 5th, there are going to be some attacks from Anonymous. So I suggest that on November 4th, before you go to bed, get off Facebook, log off, and if you can stay off the internet on November 5th, not to scare anybody, but it'd probably be a good day not to be doing transactions on the internet. We're not sure if they're just sort of blowing smoke right now, but November 5th, from midnight to the next midnight, you might not want to be on the internet. That was what came through today at 4:30 on my email. They're not necessarily targeting any one group besides Facebook right now. That's the only one they've talked about. But it's really important that you're here. It's important that you're listening. Let your friends know that you came, and share with them the link to watch this presentation. I know what these folks have prepared, and it's really important information for all of us to share. And please just continue dialoguing with your students, and you should feel very fortunate to be a part of Saline Schools. Thank you.
So before we get on with the presentation, the formal part of it, I want to just talk to you a little bit about Saline Area Schools and what we do digitally. We have just 4 strategic goals, and the second one in particular deals with the technology aspect. And I just want to read it so you understand why it's important to us. So strategic goal number 2 reads, all students will acquire the essential skills to be learners and leaders in an ever-changing 21st century global society. One of the key words in there to achieve 21st century learning is through the use of technology. We do technology integration. That's what I actually do for the district, and it's a great job. I get to work with the teachers and students every day, and we look for really unique ways to build technology into the curriculum. And to do that, our students have to get some skills, and internet safety, cyber safety is very important to us. If you're to have a child in grades 4th through 12th, they all can have Gmail accounts in this school system. And again, we need to be concerned about what they're doing online. We also do, as you move up our school system, there's this program called Moodle. So if you are in fifth grades and above, you'll often hear your child say, I've got to hurry up and get off the computer, Mom or Dad. I've got to get on Moodle, because that's where we put all of their course information and their activities that they do every day in school. We use webscriptions. You know how you have a magazine, you have a magazine subscription? Well, we use web tools, and they're called webscriptions. And so sometimes your students will come home and say, I have to go to VoiceThread, or I need to go to YouTube to watch this video, and so they're going to be online. I guess the message from the district is, we value the role that technology plays in the teaching and learning process. And we need to know that our students are safe at school and at home every day. There's a message, Kristen talked about it, it is Stop, Think, Connect. Our district has taken on that campaign moving forward. The message is something like this: stop and take time to understand the risks that are involved and learn how to spot potential problems before you go online. Think about what you need to do to keep yourself safe, secure, and successful when you go online. Then, if you have stopped, you've thought about it, you can connect and know that you're going to have greater success when you do your online activities. So I have a few survey questions to get us started, and then we'll get into the meat of the presentation. Do you think, question for you, do you think it's important to set some rules and guidelines for your child's use on the internet or other media in the home? If you think this is important, raise your hand. That's good. Okay, how confident, question for you, how confident are you in your ability to talk to your son, daughter, or multiple children about cyber safety first? How confident are you? Do you think you carry the knowledge or information? Okay, let's push it up a notch. How about for sexting? How confident would you be able to sit down and carry on a conversation about that? You don't need to raise your hands, but think about it for a minute. Are you familiar with these lingos? Luckily, we have a few young people in the audience, so we might have to ask you what these mean. LOL. What does LOL mean? Okay, laugh out loud. A/S/L. What does that mean?
Age, sex, location.
You got it. Age, sex, location. That's a little different than LOL, isn't it? This one, 6Y. Have I stumped the young ones? 6Y. Sexy. That's the word for sexy. Okay, POS. All the young ones should be saying, what's POS? Parent over shoulder. Stop texting me. Parent over shoulder. Okay, LMIRL. Let's meet in real life. What is it? In real life. That's not a good one. D46. If the 6 had the words sexy in it, down with sex. And these are the messages that are going across these cell phones, and there's many more. You actually would be wise. There's a text lingo dictionary, and there are many of them online. And as students grow up, as they move up the system, they communicate less with words and more with these little acronyms that help them, it's their own private language that parents don't know or haven't taken the time to know. What media technology does your child have access to in their bedroom? So who has a phone? How many people let their children have phones in their bedrooms? How about a TV? How about a computer? How about a gaming console? As the director of technology, my child has 0 items in their bedroom. They have a bed, they have a chair, they have a dresser, and a light. That's the most technology my child has in the bedroom. What topics tonight, and we want to tailor it to you, what topics tonight are you most interested to learn more about? Anybody have anything outside of our main areas? Sure.
I'm not sure if this will be covered in the presentation tonight, but my question goes to the principals and the directors of Saline area schools. What will you be doing to implement some of these guidelines and restrictions for the students at the Saline area schools?
That's good. That's a good question. So right now at Saline area schools, as a student and a staff member, we sign technology acceptable usage forms, AUPs. Do you remember signing that? And that AUP had on first definitions that 1, technology in a school system is a privilege, and you do earn the right to have that privilege. Then we talk about in that AUP, the Stop, Think, and Connect. If you remember this year, that was added. And then there's a little list of acceptable and a big list of unacceptable, correct? As a district, we use a filtering mechanism in general through the ISD. We also layer on, because we do Gmail accounts, we layer on a pornographic content measure and then inappropriate language measure that goes into that. And then beyond that, we use a filtering system for Gmail accounts to just make sure that we are legitimate in that. As a district, we do allow access. We do allow you to bring your technology in. It's called BYOT, bring your own technology. And when you come into the system, when you actually turn on your device in the system, it lets us know what building you're in. Our wireless lets us know what building you're in. And we do have some new features that can pinpoint the device pretty close to where you are in a building. Filter-wise, beyond that, we stay with the state requirements. We do not deny you options to YouTube. We don't deny options to Facebook. We have not done any limiting in that way. To the principals, do you want to add anything, answers to his question?
You go ahead, and I'll piggyback.
Well, one of the things that we do is obviously we don't, at the middle school, allow cell phone usage from the time they enter in the building until they actually, the bell rings, then they all come out. But we do, in most cases, through our educating of our students over the last couple of years, we have our students report to us, and in many of the cases, things that are inappropriate. A lot of times it happens from the students who, like I said, I'm very happy to report we have very limited amount of concerns happening at the middle school at this time, but in the same sense, we've had the concerns in the past. But most of our concerns are pointed out by our students. And a lot of them happen outside of the school, and then they come in and they feel comfortable either talking to a counselor, to an administrator, to a teacher, and they let us know. And actually, I think with all the educating we have done, they are keeping it, and they're not sending it on, and they're actually getting it to some type of an adult. Sometimes it's not their parent because they do worry about, I think in more cases they worry about getting in trouble, so they come to a school and they report to us, and then we do follow up with contacting, alerting families about it. We, depending if it happened in school or not, is where the consequence may come from our end of it. But in most cases, it's just making parents aware that this is happening. And like I said, I'm very happy to report that I think we're making great strides in improving this.
Are they allowed to, if they're done with their work, log on Facebook?
I'm
Are they
not.
allowed to do that during the course of their, media or whatever they're in, or wherever the computers are?
I'm going to say no at the middle school, but I think as they get older, the responsibility is falling into the young people, because it is something we can't keep it from them. We're turning into that, and we actually want to get as much technology into their hands as we can at this point. So we're building trust, we're educating, we're building trust, and hopefully our students, and like I said, 98% of our students are doing the right thing. There's always a couple that's going to, test the system a little bit.
Because when you're carpooling with the kids back and forth to school, they're all talking in the car, and you hear what they're doing. So-and-so texted me during social studies. Oh, as a mom, I'm thinking, I'm not saying anything, I'm just listening, getting information that they wouldn't normally probably tell me, and I logged on Facebook during, during lunch or during, whatever. Oh, I didn't know they were allowed to do that.
Well, if they have the devices that are, they have the like an iPhone or something like that, they can have Facebook on their account. And I'm not going to say it doesn't happen at the middle school, because I know students they test the boundaries a little bit also. But in the same sense, if we're alerted to it, we will address it. And then, depending on the circumstances, we contact the parents or the authorities, depending on what happened.
Thank you. I think, just kind of building that progression of understanding from what we're doing at the middle school, I'll add just a couple of things to that. At the high school, we've opened up, did it last year, are continuing now, we've opened up the lunchroom for using the internet, using Facebook, using your cell phone. We surveyed the students, we surveyed the staff, and we talked about that period of time being substantial enough that you could actually do something legitimate and of educational value, or take care of regular business like text mom, text dad, hey, practice times change, I need to be picked up here or picked up there, or conduct legitimate electronic business. We also had some folks advocating for, let's open it up during passing time, that's 6 minutes between classes. It's going to take a lot to convince me that that's valuable educational time. We have enough students who have trouble making it to class already. Adding that dynamic into the social visits that take place during class change. Not a big fan of that, so as long as I'm principal there, I'm probably not going to open that up. But I am happy to say, and we did want to monitor this very closely, that in our pilot window last year when we opened it up and then monitored the numbers of student threats electronically or hate speech or bullying and harassment, we were hoping we would not see, and we also did not see an increase after we opened up during lunches. And that was part of our trade-off to the students. If you show us you're going to use your phone for, sending a tweet, updating a Facebook status, texting mom or dad, legitimate use, texting your boyfriend, girlfriend, your friends, your colleagues, then that's what we expect. as young adults. If you're using the phone for illicit purposes and doing things, and we see incidents and rates of harassment or hate speech on the rise electronically, we may have to reevaluate, the direction we're going. So hats off to the students at Saline. They've done a really nice job of not abusing that opportunity during our lunchroom. And just the second point I'll make, kind of a kudos to what Heather was talking about with our filtering system. We've seen administratively a great benefit or a great increase in the level of sensitivity in that filtering system, helping us get access in a timely manner to very sensitive information. The old filtering system would pick up on swear words only. This filter is quite a bit better. It'll pick up on words that would cue us into self-injurious behavior, the potential suicide. A word like kill will be flagged, and then we'll get the whole conversation copied to us through, even after hours from a tech monitoring service that relays the message to key administrators in the building and in the district. So we've been able to intervene with some students who were troubled and really struggling and dealing with either threats from another individual, dealing with other threats out in the community, sometimes even on the weekend. And now we're able to capture some of that. Not that I'm sitting there looking at some screen, because believe me, I've got plenty of other things to do, but it's heartening for me as an administrator to know that if there's a student who's being bullied or threatened, or who is really struggling personally and saying things to friends or communicating things like, I'm gonna end my life today, I'm gonna kill myself, it's comforting for me to know that we have one more way to help get timely assistance to that student and make that parent phone call and begin to intercede immediately. We've done that already twice this year, both times successfully. So hats off to the new filtering program. It's very effective from the brief amount of time I've interacted with it, which is now 8.5 weeks, that we've been up this school year. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Any other topics that you would like to, anything addressed outside of what we're going to present tonight? Well, then let's go ahead and get started. Principals, you did a nice job. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we go into the presentation? Sure. Why don't you do that?
Mr. Williams and I talk about the slide. A lot of the things that happen outside of the school day and are brought in, and a lot of it is just the monitoring at home. Myself as a parent, I know I need to do a better job of that, and I know talking to a lot of my colleagues that there are that missed opportunities that we see when they're on the Facebook, and now that I notice what that POS means, a parent over shoulder, that's good to know. But I mean, there are some things that I know that they get on top of it, and they're on the computer, we're all busy, we're all doing things. Our situations do come from the gaming devices too. A lot of situations that have been brought to us over time have been the gaming comments and the bullying stuff that goes on between people, and then it's brought to us. Something that hasn't been as common this year, which it's early, but a lot of it has happened in the past, have been a lot of the sexting comments and actual photos that have been sent to each other. I think that was a big thing happening the last couple of years. I think, again, educating earlier and letting people know the risks of that and has helped a tremendous amount here. And I think I agree with all the things that we're doing. We're wanting our students to have as much technology, but we also want to teach the responsibility part of it. So I'll pass that down.
Yeah, thank you. I think David has the brunt of that message as he's working with middle schoolers. By the time they get to high school, we're pretty fortunate that I think the message has gotten out loud and clear. That obviously taking an inappropriate naked picture of yourself and sending it to someone else is felonious because you're under the age of 18. And even if you're over 18, it's a misdemeanor to be in possession and or distributing that information. So we have unfortunately had students charged and suspended out of school, and that's not something you want to risk, obviously, as a student. So I think you've done a nice job at the middle schools because we've really seen very little of that at the high school. So I think, unfortunately, it has happened, but by the time students are a little more mature, they've learned that lesson. For the students in the room, raise your hand if you have a Facebook account. Okay, keep your hand up if you have a second Facebook account Mom and Dad don't know about. That was a trick question, believe me. I didn't expect any. I did not expect any hands to stay up. However, as a principal, I've intervened and worked with more parents than I can count and more students than I can count in situations just like that. Well, I know my kid. My kid has a Facebook, and I have the password. I check it. What about the other account you don't know about? So I'm not trying to out you guys, but in all honesty, working with parents and students, sometimes, you know, you see what you see, and then there's stuff you don't see. Keep looking, because it's there. Students who use Facebook and know that folks are watching are now sending direct messages on their Twitter account. So look for that one too. You know, because ultimately, it takes all of us to keep our students safe. And, you know, for those of you who've been around the district a little while, we did have, you know, going back a few years, a young lady courted, so to speak, and seduced from out of the country, who actually ended up in an international fiasco. Fortunately for our sake and hers, she was able to be returned to our country safely. But ultimately, the young lady was courted and recruited online by an older gentleman who was pretending he wasn't as old as he really was, and it could have gotten very ugly very quickly. Unfortunately, law enforcement was able to intercede, and the young lady was returned to Saline. So we've seen those things happen. As a principal, I was the principal in the building when that took place, and you know, some of you probably remember that on the news a few years back. So those are the things that really worry me, and I think, you know, it goes back to being engaged as a parent and being engaged as an educator. And so POS, maybe also TOS, teacher over shoulder, you know, and as a father, maybe mine is PIT, phone in toilet, if I find out that stuff going on. They're a little too expensive to throw in the trash or whatever, but you know, don't be afraid to say no. And if you know, that phone for my 13-year-old son resides on my night table and not his, I know it's not being used at 2 in the morning. And so when it vibrates and I look at it and wonder, who is texting my 8th grader at this hour? Well, first of all, I know who, and I can talk to him about that because I see the name. And second of all, I know he's not waking up to send a reply. Or he's not sleeping with it under his pillow, absorbing microwaves into his head all night as he, you know, pulls it out and texts and sleeps. And so I think those are the things that we can do as parents to be engaged and involved with our kids. Not that we don't trust them, but ultimately it's about sleep, and ultimately it's about when to use the device, because it's very educationally beneficial, but at times, when do you unplug, and when do you recharge your own batteries and get some sleep, and not be connected? So I think that's critical.
Okay, my name is Robin Batten, and I'm with Washington Area Council for Children. We're an agency in the area that's dedicated to preventing child abuse and neglect. And I work for the cyber safety program, and our job is to go to area schools, which that slide is not there, go to area schools and talk to students. We talk to primarily middle school and high school students, and then some elementary school students. We also do parent groups, which is why we're here tonight to talk to you all about all the things that the panel have already brought up. We know that our kids are using technology, and it's very important to them. Technology is important to us. I agree with the principal, the high school principal, sorry I don't know your name, that we do have to check our kids and monitor them. And we're going to talk about a lot of things that you all brought up tonight. And some of the things may seem very scary, but I really feel like the more we know, the more prepared we will be to handle issues that come up when it involves our children is technology. Okay, so we know that they are doing all of these things. They're gaming, visiting virtual worlds. They're creating social networking sites, more than one behind the parent's back, texting, and just doing a lot of things that involve technology. So we try to talk to young people about all of those things, the gaming consoles, because you will be amazed of some of the things, which I'm quite sure you might have heard in the news, some of the things that are occurring on the gaming consoles. So teens are very connected. As you can see, 94% of all teens are online. Then it says that 75% of them have cell phones, and 31% send more than 100 texts per day. Sometimes they tell us no, not really. Then we hear other stories that yes, they do send that many. And then 80% have gaming consoles like the Xbox and the Wii and the PSP, and they all have internet on it. It's very important that we as parents know that. 73% of 12 to 17 kids have at least one social networking profile. And then it tells us at the bottom that the kids from age 8 to 18 are spending more time with the media than they are with their parents, their family, or at school. So if you think about 53 hours a week, that's more than the average work week for an adult. So that's a lot of time with technology. So these are some of the risks that kids are participating in online. They're friending people that they don't know, and we'll talk about predators. They're sharing personal information, embarrassing and harassing others. They're talking about sex, inappropriately talking about sex with people that they do know and don't know, posting and sending provocative images, sharing their passwords. We do talk to young people about not sharing their passwords, and clicking on pop-ups. So we're gonna get right into our other risks here, which we found. Some of it are pretty shocking, but there are websites that promote all of these things that you see here. The pro-anemia websites, which promotes anorexia and bulimia. The girls are actually on there sharing what they've eaten for the day. It's sort of like a competition. I had 3 grapes and water. And, you know, they even have a song in the goddess of pro-anemia. There's a lot of information out there for them to get into. The prisoner dating website, I had to look that up myself. I'm like, is this really, really real? And it is. There are prisoner dating websites out there. And then there's other drugs and alcohol and school cheating websites and just a whole lot of other things that they can get into that bring risks to them. So these are our challenges as parents. You know, understanding when to set boundaries and limitations, and then to grant independence, which you guys, I think your technique of handling your students here is great. Just helping to build responsibility. Different generations, different ways of communicating now. They use technology. We will write letters. You know, they don't have to write letters anymore to talk to people in other states and even other countries. So, and not knowing the risk level and the warning signs and lack of resources, and it's just a foreign territory for us all. So now we have to learn how to parent differently. We have to learn how to parent thinking about technology, not just the real world. So. And this presentation will deal with cyberbullying, sexting, online predators, and online privacy and cyber ethics. So cyberbullying, I'm quite sure you guys know what it is. It's when a person is tormented, targeted by another individual, they're embarrassed, they're harassed, humiliated, and using some form of technology. And when I say some form, it's probably every form. They're on Facebook, they're texting, they're on the gaming console, you know, where we think they call it trash talk, we know that, but there's still a lot of bullying going on the gaming consoles. Let's see, the most common types of spreading rumor and gossip, and as I said, through text messages, emails, instant messaging, and on Facebook, they're posting embarrassing and personal pictures about others online. They are creating accounts, impersonating other people, fake Facebook profiles, and just sending threatening, harassing messages. So those are the common types. So why? Because nowadays it's a normal place to communicate. We all communicate using technology, and our young people are definitely doing it and enjoying it. It's easier for them to say things online than it is to say it in person. That removes that human factor. You don't get the reaction. You may not feel like you have to suffer real consequences. A lot of them treat it as if it's no big deal. So it's very important. Then peer pressure still play a role. You know, they see their friends doing something, someone create a fake Facebook profile, and the others join. You know, even though they know that's against another person, it's going to embarrass them, they think it's fun or funny, you know, so they just go along with the crowd. And computers in the bedroom. The principal, Ben, said a mouthful. That's one thing we do try to talk to parents about. We know that everyone have their own parenting style, so we can't tell you how to run your household, but the suggestion is that the computers, the technology is in an open area where you can see what's going on, where you can look at their body language, where you can see a change in their behavior, a change in their attitude when they're using technology, when they're on Facebook. It's something that's frustrating them, because once they're in their bedrooms and the doors are closed and it's late at night and they have a cell phone, I have the same rule in my household. The cell phone has to sit on my nightstand, and as he said, the cell phone has rang or vibrated at 3 in the morning. And I'm thinking, oh my God, are you kidding me? And are you still up? No, he's not still up. You know, and my temptation is to text the kid back and say, are you kidding me? You know, but I try to, you know, not to do that. So because I want my child to make good decisions, I just talked to him and told him, okay, now you know how I am. I will tag a kid if I need to. So you need to tell your friends not to text in the middle of the night, because your cell phone is on my table. If you're too embarrassed just turn the whole thing off where I won't even hear the vibration. You know, because if it rings in the middle, I automatically think it's an emergency, right? You know, I'm thinking it's mine. So we do have to, you know, think about those type of things when we're, you know, giving our kids technology. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the cyberbullying triangle, we have three individuals in this. And we have the bully, the victim, and the bystander, and all of them play a very important role. The bully, of course, is the bully. Then we have the victim. And then the bystander, which is the majority group, the larger group, those who are just looking and not necessarily doing something, not sure what to do. So the difference, face-to-face bullying is just that, face-to-face. It usually happens in school, on the way home, and on the school bus, or it's wherever kids are. And then once they're home, probably it will stop. But when you add technology, it's 24/7. It's anywhere, anytime. It can be anonymous. They may not know who is bullying them, who's sending these messages, and the audience is larger. And we say that the victim is not a participant because they may not even know that it's happening. We've heard of cases where Facebook pages have been up for 4 months before the individual found out that something was going on or being said about them. So, it's very important that we understand the difference. So some cyberbullying numbers. It says here that 38% of girls online report being bullied compared to 26% of boys. But we need to understand that they both are bullied. Over 40% of all teens with internet access have reported being bullied online. The last number we really like to pay attention to because that's the number that's pretty scary. 58% that don't report. And they're not reporting for various reasons. And these are the reasons. They don't want to be blamed for what's happening. They don't want the computers taken away. You know, someone mentioned not taking away the technology. They may feel like they're embarrassed to tell their parents. They may be embarrassed to tell their friends that it's happening to them. They are worried that if they report, it won't be taken seriously. And they feel like the bullying may get worse. One of the things that we heard from kids when we're talking to them in the classroom is that they feel like their parents may overreact or underreact or may not know what to do. So they don't go to the parents. So we do encourage them to talk to the school administration, talk to the school counselor, talk to your coach, find someone to help you out with this. So signs of cyberbullying, they can vary a lot from different things. Kids can get nervous around technology. That's another reason why you need the computers in the open area. Like I said before, if their behavior is changing, it will show. If they're getting nervous when they receive a text message or nervous about getting on the email, or you see them not even using Facebook anymore, it could be a sign that something's going on. Angry and depressed, frustrated, dropping in their grades, not wanting to go to school, not wanting to participate in regular activities that they're normally used to doing, that you're used to seeing them doing. Just a basic change in their behavior is very important that you watch. And the young people that you see here are 4 young people that we talk about often, along with so many others. We can't talk about them all because we will be here all night. Young people who have committed suicide as a result of being bullied online. Megan Myers is one of the biggest cases. One of the first ones that we heard about. Phoebe Prince was the latest. Have you guys heard of Phoebe Prince before? She was a young lady who moved here from Ireland and got to meet some other young people at a school. And if you guys ever had to move as a young person, you know that it's very difficult to meet friends, to go to a different school, live in a different neighborhood, and to come all the way from Ireland. It had to be difficult for her. So she met some guys, she met some girls, she met friends. And as a result of her becoming friends with some of the boys, girls got jealous and started to harass her, humiliate her, embarrass her, call her all types of names, and she just could not escape it. They bullied her on forum streets, Facebook, Craigslist, and I think I'm missing Facebook, Twitter. So they were all over the place just bullying her, and did a lot of face-to-face bullying. One of her friends said that she was one day in the corner in the classroom just crying, out of control, because these kids were bullying her so bad and she did not know what to do. And this is for administration. She did go to her school, and they basically kind of, you know, I don't know exactly how it went down, but it made it seem as if though they basically didn't do anything. So that's a lesson for all adults that may get someone coming to them saying I'm being bullied, and her mom actually went to talk to the school. So now there's laws in the state of Massachusetts to help deal with cyberbullying. Ryan Honigan was a young man who was bullied by a girl. You know, basically took all his private thoughts and published them and embarrassed and hurt him. And then the last young lady is Jessie Logan. And I'm going to talk about Jessie Logan a little later when we talk about sexting, because that's where her bullying came in. So what can we do? We tell kids not to respond, because the natural reaction, someone says something to you, is to say something back. That's both for adults and children. We tell them to save all evidence. You may need it to report to the police. So it's important that you save that. Block or ban the bully. It's very important that you teach your kids how to block and how to ban. You need to know how to do it. If they're receiving threatening messages on their cell phone, you can contact the providers. Some cell phones are pretty savvy, and you can just block them directly from the phone. And on Facebook, they need to know how to block and how to block through email. Tell a trusted adult, that's very important. We talked about that. I talked about cell phone providers, and contact the police if you need to. And I also mentioned the reason why they don't tell, because they don't want the parents to overreact or underreact. So we say just don't panic. You know, for me as a parent, I usually get my son like 2 or 3 times, depending on the severity of the complaint, to tell me something. Because he is one of those kids who want to try and solve it on his own. So I give him that room, and then as a parent, your immediate reaction is just to solve the problem for them. You're going to fix it. But sometimes then we're fixing it, we can make it worse. So I try to give him a couple times to tell me, and then we have to discuss what's going on. So you have to know your kid. I know my kid, so I try to make sure that he is safe. It's an immediate threat. No one has threatened him physically. You know I don't have to get directly involved right away. If he could just be having a conflict with him for that day. So we have to be careful as parents. Michigan law.
We're gonna mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Go.
Yes. Except I don't know how to flip them.
Oh, I'm too
Actually, I
bad.
don't think I'll need it, because you'll be next.
Okay.
All right, so I was introduced. My name is Tiffany Small. I'm a full-time police officer with Pittsfield Township Police Department. Saline High School is in Pittsfield, so lucky enough for me, I get to be in the high school full-time Monday through Friday while the students are in school, which gives me an opportunity to be available and be able to educate students about some of the laws. Just to explain some of the pertinent laws related to this topic, stalking. Actually, stalking is repeated or continued harassment that would terrorize, frighten, intimidate, threaten, harass, or molest, or cause somebody to feel that way. So for example, we think about stalking in maybe domestic violence situations. We talk about someone being followed, or someone receiving a package left for them that they didn't want, or someone receiving a letter or a phone call. When it comes to using technology, maybe that's an email. Maybe it's some type of a cell phone message. Maybe it's some other kind of message that they receive over Twitter. And so continued harassment that causes someone to feel fear. And what's important about that is making sure that the evidence that could be collected is saved. And I know a lot of times I've had people come to me and say, this has been happening for months, we've gotten all kinds of messages. The problem is without that evidence, I'm not able to do a lot. So, and a lot of people say, well, we get it, we delete it right away. Save it, print it. If you don't know what to do, contact someone, ask what you should do, and more than likely we're gonna say, go ahead and bring that device in so we can take a look at it and see what actually is going on. Stalking is one of those kinds that does kind of require a course of conduct to be described. Additionally, using a computer device, in addition to any other kind of crime that you can do when you use a computer, you can be responsible for an additional penalty, which it says on the screen up to 2 years in prison. It's actually up to 20 years in prison, depending on the original crime that was conducted. And so that's in addition to a stalking case where the penalty may be a 1-year misdemeanor. You can have up to 1 year. If it's a activity that then causes an increased penalty, it can have up to 20 years. One of the things I forgot to mention in regards to stalking, if the victim is less than 18 years old, it's automatically a 5-year felony. and punishable up to 5 years and also $10,000 if the difference in age is 5 years or more. So it's really important to understand that when our young children are being victimized by adults that are significantly older than them, that there are increased penalties as well. And posting a message online is an additional, you can have an additional penalty for that. For example, one of the cases that I handled, an ex-boyfriend happened to post a message on Craigslist trying to seek out additional people who had previously been with his girlfriend, and talking about what a poor decision maker she was, and looking for additional people to contact her and provide an extended arm of stalking. And so in that situation, he would then also be punishable up to an increased 2 years in prison because now he's posting a message which is causing continued contact by others. So I know that my segment of this presentation is not the most interesting. However, it's pretty scary when you consider the fact that just having received 2 messages on Facebook or 2 email messages could lead to potentially up to 5 years in prison or more. It's important to make sure that we're paying attention to some of these details and getting additional resources and support from law enforcement as well.
Thank you. I thought that was very interesting. I thought you shared a lot of good points and some things I can add to my presentation. So sexting is our next big topic when we're talking to young people and parents. It's when a message is sent through a text message that's sexually explicit, and that can be cell phone or any other communication device. So when we talk about, we like to really talk about why kids are doing it. And as you guys can see, we have some stats up here. And one of the things is that they feel pressured by someone to do it. The girl usually feels pressured by the guy. And that's when we get into a problem of coercion, bullying someone sexually with technology. And it says 66% of girls and 60% of boys said that they did so to be fun or to be flirtatious. And it also says that they respond to something that was sent to them. And the last one that says that 40% of teen girls said that they sent sexually suggestive messages and images as a joke. So those are various reasons why they are doing it. So this is Philip Apper. We like to share Philip's story because Philip was a young man who was involved with a young lady, and they got into an argument and broke up. So Philip gets angry because now, she's dumped him, or I don't know how it went, but he decides to send out a picture that she sent to him, which was a sexting picture, to everyone on his contact list. And when he sent the pictures to everyone on his contact list, her friends and family and his friends and family got it, and her parents got the message. So, once her parents saw it, they were upset and they wanted to prosecute Philip. And as a result, Philip was arrested and charged with child exploitation and child pornography. So, as a result, Philip has to do community service. He's on the sex offender registry for 25 years. He has to report to the court, and he's fined $1,500 a year per year that he's on the sex offender registry. He was kicked out of college. He's actually on MTV on their website talking about his situation, trying to get things reversed for him, because now he's seen as a sex offender when he just really made a bad mistake. He understands that what he did was really dumb and really silly, and he probably would never do that again. But as a result, he's having to reap so many consequences, and these are the things we do not want young people running into, and not outside of getting in trouble with the law, which they will discuss in a moment what that means for you. The public humiliation, the young lady was humiliated as a result of him sending out that picture. Then he in turn ended up being humiliated and embarrassed, and his life changed just overnight because he made one bad decision. I brought up before that I was going to talk about Jessie Logan. Jessie Logan was a young lady that was a victim of a sexting picture. Her boyfriend sent out that picture to friends, I believe, and other kids got and they started harassing her and bullying her and calling her names. And Jessie was actually a young lady who was interviewed by one of the television stations, and they were working on a project to help stop young people from getting involved in this type of activity. And in the meantime, you know, something happened, something dropped, and Jessie ended up committing suicide. So this is another form of bullying, sexting. It's very important you guys know this. And when we talk about Philip, we like to make sure that this is what happened. This becomes your digital reputation. This is what you're connected to. He has probation officers, you know, he's a part of the, prison system is up there. That's only if he violates his probation. But now he has the judge, the police, and, you know, the child welfare office. Just a lot of things going on for him. So I'll let them handle the laws.
I'm Don Lupi. I'm a detective here in Saline, and this is kind of a dry area too, but it's an important area to see the seriousness of it. As Robin just spoke about the texting of pictures and the repercussions, if you produce what's called pornography, as we all know it, that would be a nude picture of anyone under the age of 18. I could go in depth to explain it a little bit deeper, but that's basically in a nutshell what it is. So if you produce pornography, which is a picture of someone under 18, you can actually be charged with a 20-year felony. Now, the maximum penalty is 20 years in prison. It's not intended for the children and the games that are being played, but they are being charged with it in extreme cases. So it is something to be aware of. Just distributing that technology, you also can be charged with a felony. Being in mere possession of it, you can be charged with a felony. So there's many felonies attached with having nude photos of people under the age of 18. It's very serious offenses. And I'll just give one quick example. What starts out as what kids think is very a minor incident. Let's say you have a 17-year-old kid asks his girlfriend to send him a nude picture. He says, okay, I won't show anybody the picture, just send it to me, I'll delete it as soon as you send it to me. Well, she sends him the picture of a part of her nude body. When he receives the picture, he looks at it, and then he says to his friend, hey, look at this. Now, there was multiple felonies that were committed in just that one simple incident that he thought he was being so cute just looking at a picture. He actually assisted in the producing of child pornography. He then possessed it on his phone, and he distributed it by showing it to his friend. So just by asking your girlfriend to send you a naked picture, you're committing multiple felonies. And then that goes for the person that took the picture also of themselves. You've produced pornography yourself. So it's very serious. What kids think are just games and minor pictures of themselves or pictures of their girlfriend or boyfriend can turn out to be something very serious. And everybody else involved with it that asks for that picture, everybody that says, hey, let me just look at it a minute, everybody can be charged with it. So what starts out as something very minor in their eyes is something very serious. That's all
That's fair. I don't think the laws are boring at all, to be honest. I think that's a very important part to share with young people and parents. So the next topic that we like to talk about, we want parents to be aware of, is our online predators. Online predator can be anyone online. It's very important that you guys know that. Even though it says an adult internet user, they are of every age. So online predators, they can be anyone, as I said, male or female, and they can look like anyone. We let the kids know they can look like anyone that you know. So an online predator stats, it says 54% of teens have communicated with someone online and met them in person, and 30% of teens have talked about meeting someone that they met through the internet. And 100% of the children molested by an online predator went willingly, which is very, very scary. In a lot of cases, they may even have some type of suspicion that this is what's going on. We also learned that even though predators do lie about their age, they pretend that they're close to the young person's age in order to get their attention or to make them feel safe. We also found out that a lot of times predators do not lie about their age because they know that young people are out there to, you have the younger girl who wants to appear older and she talks to an older guy online. So it's very important that we are aware of these things. So how do they operate? They call it grooming. They get to know the kids when they're online. They talk to them. They find out what their interests are. They build their trust. They target kids who want to be more grown up. As I said, sort of like the teenage girl who's really 13 and want to appear to be 17 or 18 years old. Kids who are questioning their sexual identity are targeted by online predators. And they just relate to what the kids are saying. If your kid is online, in which most kids probably express their anger with their parents online, they just try to tap into that. If they find one that's really, complain a lot about their parent, they will, tap into that, make them angry. And their goal is really to separate them from their environment where they're safe and to abuse them in some sort of way. And there have been times when they will send sexually explicit images. The goal is to get the kids comfortable with talking about sex, to remove that embarrassment of talking to someone, an adult or others, about sex online. And as you guys saw in the beginning, I pointed out that was one of the risks, young people talking about sex online. It draws that negative attention to them. So this is Timothy Hammerstone. He is one of the he's a predator. He was targeting boys on Xbox. And his goal was to abuse them in some sort of way, but he got their attention by offering them Xbox points. So when they caught up with Timothy, they found that he had pictures of boys on his laptop, and so he was arrested. And you see where he worked, Disney World. That's one thing we point out because the kids are like so shocked. He actually worked at Disney World, a place that every kid, if they have not gone, they want to go. But that shows them that predators are everywhere. We let them know that wherever kids are, a predator could be there too. And this is Christina Long. Christina was one of the first cases in our country that was actually confirmed that she was a victim of an online predator. Christina was what parents see as a pretty decent young lady, a good girl. She, as you can see, she was an honor student and co-captain of the cheer team. A pretty active child. She wasn't that withdrawn, lonely, the other image we may have of a child that may get caught up in something online. But Christina lived a double life. As Ben, the principal of the high school, said, you think your kid, you're monitoring one Facebook profile and they have another one. And not to say that she was on Facebook, but she was communicating with older men online, meeting up with them for sex. And she ended up being choked in the back of a guy's car. And it was on her birthday. And I think it was her 14th birthday. And he was married and a restaurant owner. So it's very important that we understand that even though our kids may be making good grades, they're in sports or whatever, they still could lead. The internet allowed them to be someone totally different. So we have to talk to them about what's going on. This is one of the websites that we learned about through a young man that was in our office, the Omegle, which is just really, you log on, you talk to a stranger. Just as simple as that. As soon as you log on, they don't ask you your name. They may ask you your age, sex, location, or something like that, but then they start to ask you all sorts of personal questions. So me and a former co-worker went on, and she just started chatting with this guy. He just started asking her questions, asking if she wanted to talk about sex or gay sex or something like that, and she was like, no. And he was like, well, why? And she's like, well, I'm straight. He was like, what difference does it make? And she just really logged off because we just wanted to test the waters a little bit, not really get into a conversation with anyone. But that's just an example of what young people are, the type of websites they're visiting. And I believe this website was actually developed by a 17-year-old kid. I have to do the research, so. And then there's chat roulette. How many of you heard of chat roulette? That's been like one of the biggest. The kids are communicating with strangers on there too. You see the girl down here is talking to the guy in the bra. And then you got the two young ladies here laughing here. They're talking to the guy in the cat suit. So those are the type of things that our young people are coming in contact, are coming in, it's in their face, very much so. So online predators, signs that you can look for, just like you will look for signs with bullying, changes in their behavior, receiving gifts in the mail from people that you don't know, calls from strangers. That's very important. You know, you get the cell phone, you probably know most of their friends, and you know who comes up on the caller ID, and then all of a sudden you have this stranger name comes up, or this strange number from someone that you don't know. Spending a lot of time online, pulling away from their friends. They get upset when they cannot use the computer, and that's usually because they're in contact with someone that make them feel compelled to talk to them online. So we need to understand that switching the screen when an adult enters the room, and then you got the parent over shoulder, those acronyms that they use. Please do not ignore any signs. Whether you think your child has been bullied or not, you need to pay really attention. You may not have to say anything, you may not want to say anything right away, but you need to pay attention and eventually address the issue with your children. Talk to them about all these things. Tips for parents, we already said talk to your children. That is the best thing. Set clear limits and expectation for using technology. When you buy them, before you buy the cell phone, talk to them about what you expect them to do, what values you have. What they've already been taught. Before I brought my son the cell phone, and Julie was around, she's out of the room, but she always laughed because he wanted a cell phone so bad. He was the last kid on the block to get the cell phone. You know, and I'm like, I don't care, it's not time, I don't think you can handle it. So, you know, I'm the mom from Mars, you know, don't have a clue what's going on. But before I brought him the cell phone, I said, you know, if I'm gonna pay this bill, I have to make sure you're gonna do right. Because, for one thing, I was doing this job, and then I knew what was happening with young people. But I want him to understand, you're just not gonna have it just, you know, you see kids, and it's just like a style. It's almost like clothes, you know? They gotta have the latest. His cell phone is so, he would hate for me to tell you, it's so cheesy. It's just nothing to it. He can't even get on the internet on it. But he has it now, but he has done really a good job, I have to say. As far as I know of, I haven't seen anything bad. But I had to talk to him about it because I was worried about what he was doing. And we did the same thing with Facebook. I did not just let him on Facebook. I sat down, he knew that I was on it. So when I would get on it, I would let him look at my page. You know, let him see what people were saying, you know, what type of conversation I was having, because I didn't want to hide anything from him. And if someone said something dumb, you know, I would say, you know, that was kind of a dumb comment. They maybe should not have said that because, you know, whatever the consequences could be for them or someone else. Setting privacy settings. Make sure they know how to set their privacy settings when they're on Facebook. Make sure you know how to set parental controls on the consoles and on the games. On the phones, on the different consoles, gaming consoles, and on the cell phone. If you don't want your kids to have access to the internet through their cell phones, you can tell your provider. They will assist you. They are more than happy to do that. In some cases, you are able to go online and just deactivate that feature. It's just that simple. You just go log onto the website. On the gaming consoles, it takes like 5 minutes to set them. It's just so very easy to do. Limits on the computer. You can limit the amount of time that they spend on the computer. I've done it for my son. It's 2 hours. And the first time the 2 hours went off on, he was like, Mom, something's wrong with the computer. I'm like, no, it's fine. You know, it's just your time to get off. You know, so there's just things that we can do. And I know sometimes we get caught up in the everyday routine. We're just trying to parent them. We have to feed, clothe them, and just take care of them. But we do need to stop and really think about technology now, because we have to parent in both world, online and in the real world. Okay, I think I basically said everything I need to say. Watch out what type of screen name that they choose. You know, that can bring negative attention to young people. Those provocative screen names are very dangerous. They can draw bullies, and they can draw predators to them. So our kids are leaving digital footprints. So that's why we need to do what we do. We need to have these conversations, educate ourselves. We need to know what's going on and educate our kids. Let them know what's going on. They need to think before they post. They need to clean up their Facebook page if they have anything on it that can hurt or harm them or bring negative attention to them. Basically keep it PG. Anyone should be able to look at it. Younger kids, older people. Julie likes to bring up the grandma rule. If they don't want the grandmother to see it or hear it, don't post it online. It's very important that they know that colleges and jobs are looking at what we are doing online. It can rule you in, it can rule you out. The same way we're being judged in real life, we're being judged online. We have a digital reputation. I think that's basically it. And just remember that the internet is not private. Everything is out there. Once it's out there, it's out there. You can delete it, you can try to take it down, but anyone could have printed or forwarded over to another person very easily. So, unacceptable behavior, revealing passwords, impersonating someone else online, spreading rumors online about someone else, saying rude and harassing comments about someone. That's very important. Creating websites that ridicule and humiliate other people and intimidate them. We've already talked about the laws that deal with that. And just downloading illegally and hacking. Those are all unacceptable behavior. And Michigan do have internet crime laws that we do share with young people because we want them to know that all these things are illegal, from cyberbullying on down to hacking. So this is Jessie Slaughter. Her parents didn't pay attention. This is the biggest lesson. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jessie Slaughter. She was 11 years old when she went online and started making all these comments. As you guys can see here, she was talking to the haters. She said, if you don't stop hating, you know what? I'll pop a Glock in your mouth and make a brain slushy or something like that. So as a result, she was bullied. I mean, thousands of YouTube videos against this young lady. People sending things to her home. The FBI ended up getting involved. She was on Good Morning America. She's in therapy. She ended up in foster care. And then in the midst of all that, her father passed away. Julie and I were just like, oh God, what else can this young girl? And I think she's only 12 now, right, Julie? So within the past year, from the time she was 11 years old, her life just changed so much. And her parents had the computer in the room. Her mother had no clue how to use the computer. Even after she had gone and done some things, they still allowed her to go on again to make more videos, which brought more bullying to her and more negative attention to her. Her father was even participating in some of the negative attention, some of the negative behavior. So Jessie Slaughter is our what not to do for kids and parents. I believe that's it. For me, I do have a survey, if you guys don't mind if I tell them. You guys probably have it in your packet to please complete it. This is how we get our funding to go and do these presentations for parents and for students. So if you don't mind, I would appreciate if you would fill them out. And thank you so much.
You can give them to me on your way out. I'll be back here at the door. Thank you.
I'm just going to talk one more time about the laws. Instead of going over all 4 laws, I just kind of want to make it real clear that anything you do over a computer, there are laws that govern it. Anytime you threaten somebody over a computer, anytime you threaten to do anything to people, the computer is a separate law that covers a large area. And if you don't understand it already, phones are computers. Your cell phone is a computer. So what I like most about this slide is the cyberbullying, the new three new House bills that are being proposed. There are, and I receive 2 or 3 calls a week still to this day about what can we do about so-and-so posting something on Facebook about my son or daughter. If it's not a threat, if it's not certain criteria, it's not a crime. And that's where cyberbullying comes in. There are crimes that are in the House right now that being proposed that would cover that. The first one, House Bill 4251, it gives schools guidelines and it mandates them to educate the students on cyberbullying and the penalties, and it mandates certain programs, which is great. The next bill, House Bill 4252, it's the duties of reporting cyberbullying. So if a school official, a teacher or a counselor or social worker hears about someone posting something on Facebook, whether it's a rumor, whether it's the truth, any type of harassment that's being posted on the internet about another kid, that teacher or that counselor has a duty to report that, as well as law enforcement too. And that's good. So it goes in line with child abuse. Your mandatory reporter. And then the House Bill 262 just talks about the penalties. It can be anywhere from a misdemeanor up to a major felony, depending on the seriousness of it. So, your cell phones are computers. Anytime you harass somebody, threaten somebody, anything you do with your cell phone or your computer, you can be held responsible for.
So let's do a little taking stock. That was a bunch of valuable information. We cannot discount these laws. Down the road, it's not just a joke anymore when you do anything that's related to predator, online bullying. The ramifications are really great, and so that's what we want to work with you on together. So taking stock, have you had conversations with your child or children about online privacy? How has your child's online content been shared? Has it been shared in unwanted ways? Has any of your children or friends used media to cheat in school? Have you talked to them about appropriate online behaviors? And the list goes on as you look all the way down. Tonight, we hope what you get out of this is it's a chance to go back and start sharing in some of these conversations. We do it across all grades in the district. In our lower grades, we have media specialists, and that is actually a part of their curriculum. That we walk all the students through the AUP, we put them in situations, we try things out, we bring in presenters to work. As they move up the grades, we have at the high school, we're building it into our health class right now, so every student has to take a cyberbullying / safety class in health. And we run a lot of PSAs on morning announcements throughout the district to continue to push out the message over time. We have given you a resource packet, and it is loaded with some pretty good information. There are a local resources page. It includes everybody up at this table, and then also some other resources. Feel free to call. There is the Stop, Think, Connect campaign. We hope that you carry that message back into your home. There are new internet safety online resources that is fresh off the press. We have a NetCetera book. It's created from the federal government, and it gives you ideas and definitions around all the topics we've discussed tonight. There is a top 10 internet and Facebook safety tips. We have put in there some information on setting parent controls. So it gives you some websites and places to go to get that information. There are some common sense media agreements. You heard me talk earlier about technology AUP. That's what we make our students sign. It's kind of our contract with them when they're on school property about what it means to be a good online citizen and our rules and expectations. There are 3 examples in your packet, one for a K-5, one for a middle schooler, and one for a high schooler. And you might want to try that with your child or children at home. And then the last piece are these discussion starters. Today, as you listen to all the presentation pieces, it probably makes you think, wow, I probably should start to have some of these conversations if I haven't. And so we've put discussion starters in around the key topics. These are some things you might talk about cyberbullying. Here's something about sexting. Here's something about cell phones. It's the very, very last page. And you really should take a look at it. It might be a chance. You don't have to do them all in one night, but it's a nice chance to sit down and start having some of those conversations. Our goal in the end is we don't want to turn off technology. You saw our district strategic goal. It's important to us. It is a part of instruction. It's a part of our global society. What we want to do is build more awareness and education at home and at school. So I'm going to open it up now. Anybody have any questions that they want to address to our panel of experts?
What have the middle schoolers seen of this? Have they seen the examples of the bullying cases and all that stuff? Probably a little bit more.
These were our presenters so what you're getting tonight is a tailored down version. They received all of these elements, and then we put them in through like a Jeopardy. We asked them, just like we started our session off with you, we asked them, I think this was really eye-opening. Remember the first session we did? We had them in, we said, okay, today's Monday, yesterday. How many people went online? Well, of course they all did. How many people, spent multiple hours online? 3/4, how many people gamed? How many people text message? How many people sent pictures? The hands did not go down. Yes, we did them all day. On the 17th of October, we brought them in by grade level and did presentations with them. One of the most unusual ones was the Facebook piece. For our 6th grader group, we asked them how many people have Facebook accounts. And why it's unusual to us, half of them raised their hands, is the law says 13. And then we said, do you realize you have to be 13 years old? But it's okay, my mom said I could have one. And I know I'm probably not talking to anybody in this room as I mention it, but that's just mind-boggling to think. 13, there's a reason why they have those. Yeah.
I think also for middle school, this is the 2nd year we've had them in to speak to each grade level, and we'll do it every year from this point forward. So really, if you're a 6th grader, you're going to see some of the things, and we update it, but pretty much by the time you're in 8th grade, you should have seen this 3 times. It still baffles me that some things happen after that, but in the same sense, we do think we hit it pretty hard, and then we're doing something hopefully monthly to tie into bullying, cyberbullying, some type of presentation or some type of information through our announcements regarding those issues.
Do we as parents get notified that that's going to be shown? I don't remember. I didn't know my daughter.
The announcements? Yeah, our announcements are posted every day on the, you can go onto our website, but that might be a good thing to update and send out to people. They can actually go onto the morning announcements and our middle school website, go to our media center, and it says morning announcements, and you can watch every one we've had on.
Any other questions? Did you find tonight valuable? Okay.
If you don't mind, I just wanted to make a comment. I know that some of you, the younger audience members in here, may be saying, well, I haven't had that situation happen to me, but I can almost guarantee that you know somebody who's been involved in a situation like one of these that's been on the screen. And one of the things that I'm really trying to bring readily available to the high school students is to say, you are responsible for your friends, for making sure that your friends are being looked after, and they're responsible to make sure that you're being looked after as well. And so if for some reason you think that someone needs some help dealing with a situation, find that trusted adult. Find someone that you think can help you kind of bridge that gap and get some help. And that's one of the biggest things I've been able to do at the school, which is fantastic, is be available so that students can come up and say, I have this situation and I know that my friend is having a hard time dealing with it. I just want to ask you a couple questions. If for some reason it makes you feel uncomfortable or you think someone else is uncomfortable, please ask. Ask somebody, because you can't go wrong getting information. Where you go wrong is ignoring it and letting something happen, and then think about how you feel afterwards. So look out for each other, and that's really the best way we can help out really everybody.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Excuse me, sir. I just wanted to say that for Saline as a school district, I really do appreciate what I've seen them do or try to do with their young people here by educating them. They have not taken a step back at all. We work with so many different school districts, but they are continuously moving forward. And to be a part of it, I appreciate it. So just for parents, your comfort level, they are working to try and educate your young people on what they should do, how to be safe online. So as a parent to parent, feel comfortable in that. They're doing a great job.
Well, we thank you for coming tonight. We had hoped for more, but we hope you go out and share the message with everybody. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. And if you have any other questions down the road, feel free to call or email any of us. We're all listed on that local resources page. We just ask you to share as we grow these students from pre-K all the way up to high school. We want their name to be Googleable when they graduate. We want to see all the good things that they've done. We don't want to see any of this crazy stuff attached to their name. Have a good night, everybody.
This has been an SCTN production.